Que pasa YouTube, aka what's up YouTube? Welcome to week number 3 of the VDL season 7. We are taking on Will and his Crocodile squad. The channel link will be down below for you guys to go ahead and check out. Now, I will say this right now, unfortunately this match will be post commentated by me from my opponent's perspective because we had to reschedule from our original day. And when we did actually play, I was not at my PC, so I didn't have my Switch and my PC in the same place. So yeah, I had to get his perspective of this game. But if you guys do want to see the live version of it, then check his channel out in the description below. Otherwise, you can go ahead and skip right to the battle. So shout out to the front office homies for helping me for this match. And now looking at Will's squad, Magirna can definitely get out of hand depending on what set it is running. TERA Raging Bolt obviously is one of the best TERA captains in normal draft league format. Dio speed is annoying. Rillaboom I don't expect. Sneasler could be annoying depending on the set. Crocodile I 100% think will come to this matchup just because Intimidate and its speeds here are really good. Vaporeon I could see coming. Talonflame, Fortress, and Sableye are probably the 3 mons I don't think will come. Fortress I don't think comes at all. Sableye maybe, and Talonflame maybe. So our first team member here is going to be Dragonite, and this time around we are running a specially offensive TERA Electric Dragonite. I was debating between a couple different TERAs here, but TERA Electric is actually really nice here outside of the Crocodile. But I mean, if we're in multi-scale range, then we still love a hit regardless. But Thunderbolt and Flamethrower are really nice, and Roar is good to phase out any type of setup that he has. We are able to do good amount of damage. We're able to do a good amount of damage. Sorry, I did not understand the English language there for a second with our special attack investment, and the speed is also just creeping any type of speed creep that he might have on the Rillaboom. Next off we have Dragapult Choice Specs, baby. Look at this and look at his squad. This can come in, click a button, and get a kill. We are outspeeding everything except for the Deoxys speed, if I'm not mistaken, because that's already naturally faster than us, so we can run some type of bulk investment. But these 3 moves hit everything ridiculously hard, so I'm really hoping that this puts in a lot of work. Next off we have what most likely is going to be our lead in Charty Berry Ho-Oh. So in my mocks this did it pretty well. The idea is to lead with this and just click one of our dual stabs. Earthquake is really just there for the TERA Bolt because we want to try and force it to TERA. So from there, depending on what TERA it is, one of our dual stabs should be able to hit it accordingly. And then Whirlwind stops any potential setup, or it is able to phase out the Vaporeon because Wish Vaporeon is also just really annoying to try and handle. Next we have just good old standard Ting Lu, Stealth Rocks, Dual Stab, and Whirlwind. We're able to get up rocks, chip things down with the Ruination. Earthquake hits everything pretty hard. That is not the Talonflame, which I mean, I almost don't expect Talonflame because it does have a bit of a rough matchup, but if it does come, then we should be able to deal with it. So I'm not really too concerned about that. But Dual Stab, Whirlwind, Stealth Rocks kind of does the job here. Next we have a Choice Scarf, very defensive Jirachi. Now in the MBC I used this exact same Jirachi set to deal with Sneasler, and it did work out very well. So that's kind of the same idea here. I'm not sure what kind of Sneasler set he would be running, but regardless we should be able to live any 1 hit even if it does boost up, if I'm not mistaken, and then from there we could potentially knock him out. Otherwise we can trick something. Flash Cannon does good damage to what we needed to do, and U-turn is just there for momentum in case we want to bring this in earlier if we need it to do other things besides dealing with the Sneasler. And then finally off is going to be the debut of Decidueye. Decidueye's dual stabs are absolutely amazing here. Look at the squad, look at this. In mocks this was very, very handy. Initially, I was Swords Dance, but I never found myself Swords Dancing. But Haze would have come in handy in a mock. So I was like, all right, if anything, I can at least Trailblaze and force him to bring something in that I can hit super effectively with one of my dual stabs. Like, yeah, he has Krooks, but I mean, Trailblaze still does good damage, especially if he does bring the Rillaboom, then I'm Grassy Terrain boosted. Besides that though, Spirit Shackle and Shadow Sneak are pretty free into his team, and then Haze is just there in case I need to stop some type of setup. So yeah, that is our squad. Let's go ahead and get into the battle. Okay, pause YouTube. Okay, what's up YouTube? Welcome to week number 3 of the VDL season 7. So unfortunately this match, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, will be from my opponent's perspective. If you guys want to see his live version of this, then go ahead and check it out in the description below. So looking at what he decided to bring against us, this is more or less what I was expecting. I did kind of expect Talonflame. I saw Talonflame in some mocks. I was really surprised to see that he brought the Rillaboom. So obviously I don't know what kind of items he has on any of his mons, so Rillaboom just really threw me for a loop here as one of the mons that he did decide to bring against us. Regardless though, as I mentioned in the builder at first, Ho-Oh is definitely going to be my lead here because our dual stabs do really good damage to the entirety of his team, and even if he does want to bring in the Vaporeon against me, we could try and burn that or just severely weaken it, and then as it wishes we can go for the Whirlwind. So Ho-Oh is going to be my lead, as I expect him to lead with something like the Vaporeon or potentially even the Rillaboom. But he ends up leading off with the Magearna. I did see Krooks lead in mocks, but I was prepared for that because we are Charty Berry on Ho-Oh, so I was going to stay in and risk taking the hit to fish for a burn with Sacred Fire. So he leads Magearna. This is great for us. I'm going to go straight for the Sacred Fire. I guess I could have gone for the Brave Bird, but if he wasn't Covert Cloak or Lumberry on the Krooks, then we could get the burn. Obviously, I don't know that he's Covert Cloak. Regardless though, the Sacred Fire does do a good chunk of damage to him after the Intimidate. So now the question is, do I want to stay in and take the hit again and expect him to switch out or overpredict? And I do decide to stay in, and I think I go for the Sacred Fire again. I guess in hindsight I could have gone for the Brave Bird, and I end up missing my second Sacred Fire. So as you can see, that did about 49%. So this thing would be down to like 2% or potentially knocked out if it was a roll. I guess in hindsight I probably should have gone for the Brave Bird, so I guess in a sense maybe I was punished for that by not going for the Brave Bird, because maybe I would have knocked him out if I went for the Brave Bird. Regardless though, that miss is a giant issue, as in comes the Vaporeon. We are able to burn that with the Sacred Fire, which is nice. Turns out that he's not leftovers, so here I'm just gonna go for the Brave Bird again. Even though I am at -1, I still just want to pressure this Vaporeon to put it in a position of where we can force it to go for the Wish, because my main plan of trying to deal with this Vaporeon is to Whirlwind it out as it tries to pass a Wish, because in a mock this thing just lived forever and was a giant problem being able to tank hits and pass wishes. So I was like, all right, you know what, Whirlwind in this scenario is really amazing. So he does go for the Wish as I Whirlwind him out into possibly the worst thing that could come in, and that is the Krooks. So this really sucks, because this is now going to be able to not only potentially knock me out but also get the Wish. So unfortunately, even though I do have the Charty Berry, I will be knocked out by any rock move that he wants to go for. So I am forced to switch out here as he makes a really great play, goes for the knockoff, catches my incoming Ting-Lu, and it just brought back up to 100% HP. Now, even if he had lived my Sacred Fire earlier that I missed, I don't think he would have been brought back up to exactly max HP if the turns had still played out as they did. Or as I said, I could have gone for Brave Bird and knocked him out. So yeah, Krooks back at 100% HP is a giant issue. So I go for the rocks, as in comes the Rillaboom. I'm not sure if he's going to predict me to switch out here, or maybe he'll go for the U-turn or go for the knockoff. Regardless though, I don't want to bring in my Ho-Oh because I don't want him to U-turn for free. If he U-turns on my Dragonite, that's a little bit more manageable for me, as he actually ends up going for the Drum Beating, which again, I was not expecting Rillaboom whatsoever. I didn't see it in mocks. even my front office homies were like, yeah, it's got a terrible matchup, it's never going to come. So the fact that he brought Rillaboom is just really throwing me for a loop here. I do not know what this thing wants to do against me. So I could stay in and just go for the offensive move or go for the roost. As I go for the flamethrower, this is nice because I am able to do a good chunk of damage to him, as unfortunately he does knock off my boots, which could kind of suck in the long run of this game, especially if he is running hazards on something like the Magearna or Krookodile. So now I'm debating, do I want to stay in, do I want to roost to get back up to full HP? I could go for another fire move and potentially knock him out, or I could go for a different offensive move, as he's going to decide to bring in the TERA Raging Bolt here, which I was not expecting, and this is going to give me a chance to just roost up back up to full HP. And from here, I'm not sure what this Bolt wants to do. I believe he was Terra Fairy, if I'm not mistaken, so I apologize for not mentioning that earlier. And now the idea is he going to Terra right away? Should I go for the Roar? Should I go for the offensive move, or should I switch out to bring something in to deal with it? And I figured that bringing in my Ting-Lu is probably my better play, just because from here I can tank any hit, whirlwind him out, or go for the Ruination and get off a good chunk of damage on him, even if he is running some type of recovery with the leftovers or the citrus berry. He does turn out to be leftovers, so I apologize if I might have missed that earlier. Actually no, so I roost here. I haven't seen leftovers yet. As he goes for the Calm Mind, I bring in my Ting-Lu, and now obviously my big fear is that he's going to Terra and go for the Terra Blast Fairy here at +1. That is going to do a lot of damage to our Ting-Lu, and because he knocked off the citrus berry earlier, that puts us in a very bad scenario, because now I won't get that burst of HP back. So even though, yeah, we are going to kind of stop this Ting-Lu, we are going to stop this Raging Bolt early, Ting-Lu is going to be severely weakened. So we do live the Terra Blast as we whirlwind him out into what is possibly the worst mon ever, the Rillaboom. So yeah, I've just gotten really unlucky here. First the Krookodile on the Wish, and now Rillaboom on my Ting-Lu. So I'm debating on whether or not I want to save my Ting-Lu here, and I was very close to switching right back out into my Dragonite, but I figured, okay, maybe he could go for the U-turn here, because saving Ting-Lu is not the worst thing ever for me. I can at least save it for Death Fodder potentially, but no, he just knocks us out with the drum beating. So yeah, this is turned out to be a very bad start to this matchup, and things are not exactly looking good for us. So I'm trying to figure out what I can do here, or what I can bring in against this Rillaboom, and it's really not looking that great. I think I was trying to check what type of Rillaboom this was, whether it be a more offensive one or a bulker variant. So I bring in my Ho-Oh, and I should be able to live anything that he wants to go for. If he does want to go for the knockoff, which is what I was hoping for, then I can hopefully knock him out with either my Sacred Fire or my Brave Bird. So I believe I do end up going for the Brave Bird here. Yeah, because this did the most damage to everything, and there was no way he was going to bring in the Magearna expecting me to go for a flying type move. So unfortunately at this point, my Chardy Berry does not save me from this Krookodile, which should have been gone a lot earlier in this game, but at least it's more or less kind of weakened now, because I can bring in my Decidueye, and my Decidueye does have the Colbur Berry. So unless he crits me, fingers crossed, then there should be no way that he knocks me out here. And this is nice, because even though Trailblaze is my only grass type move, we are boosted by the grassy terrain, so we should definitely be able to knock him out here. And outside of that, there's not really a good switch in that he has here. He could have maybe switched out into, I guess, Magearna, but that would have been odd, because in the following turn I could have just gone for a ghost type stab. So we live the knockoff as he procs our Colbur Berry, and we knock him out with the Trailblaze. So yeah, Krookodile just got a lot of work done here because we missed that Sacred Fire very early on in the match and got unlucky with the Whirlwind into it on the Wish. So in comes the Rillaboom. I don't think we'll knock him out with any one hit, but still getting off a huge amount of damage on this is going to be absolutely amazing for us, because the sooner that this is gone, the sooner the grassy terrain is gone, and the sooner that the potential of Grassy Seed Sneasler can also be eliminated. Unfortunately though, it lives our Spirit Shackle, never lucky, no crit, as he knocks us out with the U-turn. This is really low though, so that is still beneficial for us as he knocks out our Decidueye. Spoilers, that will unfortunately be the last showing of Decidueye on the squad and the team here for the remainder of the season. I did make some trades going into week 4 and onwards. I will try and make a video on those, or at least mention them before our week 4 matchup. So the good thing about him knocking out Decidueye with U-turn is that I get switch initiative. So in comes the Sneasler. Unfortunately, it does proc the Grassy Seed, so it is now 100% faster than the entirety of our squad and has a defensive boost. However though, we do have a very bulky Jirachi, which should be able to live anything that he wants to go for. Even though we're Scarf, we don't outspeed him, but we should be able to live whatever move he wants to go for. So I will 100% go for the Psychic Noise in this scenario, because I need to get rid of this Sneasler. Even if he did switch out here, Psychic Noise still canceled the Grassy Terrain recovery of whatever came in. I think he said he misclicked on Close Combat, but I think even if he went for Throat Chop or if he went for Swords Dance, I don't necessarily think it mattered. Like, we lived Throat Chop, which is great, and we punished him if he Swords Dance, and if he switched out, then I mean, still, if it was late game, I don't think Sneasler necessarily would have been a problem. I don't know. I mean, it's theory mining, right? Like, there's so many different things that could have happened. I don't think that him misclicking there on the Close Combat really matters in the long run of things. So in comes a TERA Raging Bolt, and at this point, I'm terrified. This thing could definitely win just because it is a giant problem. So I'm not entirely sure what he's going to want to go for. If anything, I can at least go for the Psychic Noise and punish him by not allowing him to recover. The fact that the Raging Bolt was leftovers was a huge issue, because I didn't think it would be leftovers along with Grassy Terrain. As I mentioned earlier, I didn't think Rillaboom whatsoever would come to this matchup, but Grassy Terrain and leftovers have given that Raging Bolt a lot longer of a lifespan than I thought it was going to have in this matchup. So in comes the Magearna. I switch into my Dragonite as he does go for the Thunderbolt. Luckily, he did not go for the Fairy Stab, which, I mean, he really wasn't in the scenario where he could have gone for that, just because if anything, I could have just spammed Psychic Noise and let him knock me out. But the fact that I was able to bring in Dragonite here is great, because now what I can do is go for my Terra and go for the Roost. And I think I was checking the damage calc here, trying to figure out what kind of set he was running, and I was more or less set on the fact that he was running a very specially offensive set of Magearna. Regardless though, we should be able to roost up out of range of where he could knock us out with any move that he wants to go for, because we are running some good speed investments on this Dragonite, as he turns out to have the Flora Cannon. We do tank that. I'm going to go for the Roost again, because now with him being a -1 special attack, we're going to be able to take this a lot better, as he goes for it once more. Now he's a -2. Now he's in a bit of a tricky scenario of, is he going to want to go for another one, or is he going to want to switch out? I can either go for the Roost, or I can try to be offensive and go for the Flamethrower. But my biggest fear is that he is weakness policy on this Magearna, and that really affects a couple of my plays in this match. So I go for the Roost, thinking that he might switch out, or he's just going to go for another Floor Cannon. As he does bring in the Vaporeon, we are going to be able to knock him out with the Thunderbolt. So my plan of whirlwinding this out with my Ho-Oh so it doesn't wish recover for free ended up more or less paying off, even though Krookodile was recovered up to full HP. it is what it is, and we're now in this scenario as in comes the Rillaboom. So here I don't know that he's got the Endeavor, so I'm thinking, okay, I can live anything as he outspeeds us. Now I watched his side of the game and he said that he did not think that he would outspeed us, but I don't know. If I was him, I still think I would have gone for the Endeavor. That really helped us out there. I'm not sure how much it really would have changed in the grand scheme of things. Like, he would have brought us really low, but maybe I could have roosted out of range of where something else came in and revenged us. Or I could have switched out and saved this to come in later and roost on something later. I'm not sure. Either way though, I think he still should have just endeavored, even if he didn't expect to be slower than us. Regardless though, that does save us, as down goes the Rillaboom, in comes the Raging Bolt as I bring in my Jirachi. I really thought he would go for the Calm Mind. I was hoping he would go for the Calm Mind so I could trick him. Unfortunately, that was not the case. As he knocks out Jirachi, I can now bring back in my Dragonite, and now the mind games come to play. So my last mon is Choice Specs Dragapult. Unfortunately though, he has two of his best answers to Choice Specs Dragapult in this Raging Bolt and the Magearna. So I need to find out some way to just severely weaken them so then I can just bring in my Dragapult, click a move, and win. So I roar in the Magearna, and now I know that I can live a Floor Cannon. So my play is to 100% and go for the Roost, which Floor Cannon ends up missing, which is some justice for me missing that Sacred Fire very early on in the match. I mean 5% compared to, I believe, 5% as well for the Floor Cannon. And now I know that I will be able to 100% live another one. So I believe I do end up going for the Thunderbolt here in this scenario, because again, as I mentioned before, I am deathly fearing him being weakness policy, which he misses another Floor Cannon, which is great. And the thought behind me scared of him being weakness policy is that he easily lives Flamethrower. Like, there's no way I knock this out at the high amount of HP that he was at. So he misses two Floor Cannons and then he crits me. But if I were to Flamethrower him, activate weakness policy, I lose. Even if I don't knock out the Magearna with my Dragonite, it's a +2. Dragapult can knock out Magearna, and the Raging Bolt is just at too much HP to where even Specs Dragapult won't knock it out. So this is why I said earlier I did not expect him to be grassy terrain and leftovers on the Raging Bolt, because the fact that it's getting that amount of recovery back is a giant issue in this matchup. Like, if this wasn't leftovers, or if grassy terrain wasn't around, it would be probably around like 40-ish%, which would be a lot easier for me to deal with. So I think I roar him out into the I think I roar him out into the Raging Bolt here. I was gonna say Dragapult for some reason, and now I'm debating, do I Thunderbolt? Am I fearing maybe him going for the Calm Mind? And I'm not gonna lie, I completely overlooked the fact that he showed his entire moveset here. So I'm still thinking, okay, maybe he's got Thunderclap. So in the back of my mind, I'm fearing him going for the Thunderclap as he goes for the Calm Mind. And I'm thinking, okay, he went for Calm Mind because I went for the Thunderbolt thinking that he would expect me to go for Roost. So now I'm like, okay, do I attack? Do I expect him to predict me to attack and go for the Thunderclap? And I go for Roost thinking that he would Thunderclap, forgetting that he already showed Thunderbolt. Luckily though, we are able to live the +1 hit here, and then the following turn I am going to be able to knock him out with the Thunderbolt. Again, still thinking, okay, please don't Thunderclap, please don't Thunderclap, even though he already showed his entire moveset against us. And down goes the Raging Bolt, and his last mon at this point is going to be the Magearna, which even if it is the weakness policy, we knock him out, but he turns out to be freaking Ockaberry and lives a hit, knocks us out, but we still have Dragapult in the back, and that is going to be the victory in our favor once I send in my Dragapult. So yeah, I did play the end game here very, very safe. I mean, I didn't have access to my damage calc immediately, and I wasn't able to eye the amount of HP that the Magearna was taking. So worst case scenario, he could have been weakness policy, and if he was a weakness policy, then he definitely would have won with that. But hey, we're able to win, and we are now sitting at 3-0 heading into week number 4, which will be live commentated. So with that being said, thank you everybody for watching. Make sure to leave a like, leave a comment. I will see you all next week, or in a few days actually. And yeah, so later everybody.